Weebs aren't exactly known for having the most storied or exotic of lives, now, are they? Your mental image of what a typical weeb is like more than likely is someone who, outside of the bare minimum human interaction required to live, is not going to be spotted outside of their house. I mean, shit. With stuff like Uber Eats and working from home being a thing nowadays, I wouldn't be surprised if a lot more weebs had fallen headfirst into the NEET lifestyle. But even excluding that, most people who would self-identify as a weeb aren't too likely to have too much going on in the personal side of life either. For example, we just had Halloween, right? And I'd say it's a pretty fair bet to take that if you asked these people what they did for it, most of them would just say that they stayed at home and watched Pokemon on Twitch. But that's fine. Not everybody is into parties, and that alone doesn't mean that you don't have a life. How about the summer, though? That just ended not too long ago, and it's the perfect time to be pursuing your passions. No? Nothing there either? Just sitting at home watching anime again, huh? Oh, the same thing planned for Thanksgiving, too. Cool. Well, I just so happen to know the perfect cure for watching too much anime. And it also just so happens to be more anime. And no, I'm not talking like your gambling addicted uncle right now, hitting you with the old gambler's fallacy. Hey, what's up, man? I'm about to head out to that party. You trying to come? I think it'll be good for you. I can't. You know I'm trying to focus on improving myself and being more outgoing. Yeah, that's exactly why I'm asking you to come with me and get out for a little while. You don't get it, do you? All I ever do is sit here and watch anime all day and do nothing. I have to change. I have to be better. And this is the only way for me to do it. I have to watch 3 slice of life anime every single day until I finally become a true Chad. Okay, well, I'm gonna go ahead then, but if you change your mind, you know the spot, so. To get at the point that I'm trying to get across here, I think the best way is to show you it by giving an example with a show airing this season in Do It Yourself. This is an anime about DIY projects with your friends and making shit. I'm a person who loves DIY, I'm into woodworking and doing my own repairs and all of that. But even as somebody who already does plenty of DIY, watching an episode of this show gives me this powerful itch to just make something. Anything, really. I watch a lot of slice of life anime, and every time I watch one that involves any sort of activity, it gives me this uncontrollable urge to go and give it a try. And this happens all the time. My wallet might say it happens a little too often, but it also doesn't like these either, so what does it know? And how can you not get these feelings when the characters on screen are always having so much fun and enjoying themselves so much? You just can't help but try and tap into that happiness yourself. And they've got an anime for everything. Farming, cooking, running, swimming, drawing, camping, cosplay, music, rock climbing. Or if you really cannot be bothered to go outside, then they've got anime that might get you into multiplayer gaming or like digital art or music and more that might then lead into you getting out there and continuing to pursue these things in other spaces. And even if they don't, they're very likely to be encouraging you to, interact with other people and just do something new with your life, Spice it up a little.
俺、本当に楽しかったです。
私も超楽しかったよ。
If you're a weeb and still don't have any interesting hobbies, then I feel like the problem might just be that you don't watch enough anime. Because how the hell have you not watched something yet that has gotten you motivated enough to pursue it? And while I say this, I know that for a lot of people, it is that motivation part that is the hard part. And I don't really have any way to express what you have to gain by doing so better than talking about myself. The first thing that really showed this effect to me personally was with diving. I love diving. I always knew I would love diving. I've loved swimming and the beach and water sports and other extreme sports my whole life. And always knew that diving would be another one that I would completely love. But for years, after I had become an adult and had full ability to go and get licensed by myself. I just hadn't. I couldn't tell you why. I'd think about wanting to do it regularly. I didn't have a lot of money by any means at the time, but enough to get licensed for sure. And it's not like I was a NEET by any means. I was going out and doing things with my friends nearly daily, but I just hadn't done it. And then it happened. I watched Grand Blue Dreaming, which to this day remains one of my favorite anime of all time. And I would have loved this anime regardless, and it probably would have still been in my top 10 based solely on the comedy alone, because it's genuinely the funniest anime that I've ever seen, and it's not even close.
どうして火がつくんですかね。
可燃性なんだろう。
But this show really changed my mindset about diving. It wasn't just something that I wanted to do, it was something that I had to do, and something that I had to do right then. I watched the show as it aired back in summer of 2018 and decided as soon as I could, I would get licensed. Because of my work at the time and other stuff, I had to wait a short while, and the show was already over by then, but that didn't change at all my motivation to dive as soon as I could. Now, over 4 years and many dives later, I'm still obsessed with it, and I'm always looking forward to my next dive or going to a new spot. It's something that I really enjoy doing a lot, and also something that has put me in contact with so many amazing people that at this point I can count diving among some of the most important parts of my life, which is really something special. And again, without the help of an anime, I might not have ever actually pulled the trigger on it. And this is by no means an isolated incident. I used to be huge into working out and even competed in a few smaller competitions and stuff like that. And I was lifting every single day, often multiple times a day. It was something huge to me. But my body didn't quite agree. It's more so because of the work I was doing at the time, but my body was really getting broken down, and within the space of a few years, I had more surgeries than I could even count, with many of them having long or indefinite recovery times. This is something I still deal with now, but back in 2019, when How Heavy Are the Dumbbells You Lift first came out, I was in a rut. It was the beginning of this process, and it was a few months into the first time in forever that I wasn't able to lift or do the things that I wanted to, how I wanted to do them. And even as I started recovering, I just didn't have the motivation to go, knowing that I couldn't do what I could before. I'd feel so motivated and invigorated after every episode that I just had to go to the gym and do whatever I could at the time.
ようこそシルバーマンチムへ。
And like I said, I'm still dealing with these issues today, and likely will be for the rest of my life. But anytime I am not able to find the motivation to go, I can always pop on dumbbells and immediately get hit with a rush stronger than the best pre-workout on the market. The dumbbells OP alone hits you harder than the old craze formula did. Now, this is just my own experience, and what even is the point of all of this? The point is that these shows, while also just amazing in their own right, were able to get me to do something that I might not have been doing otherwise, and legitimately made my life better for doing so. And look, I know it can be daunting. Going out and interacting with other people or trying something new will always be scary, no matter who you are. But just take a look at the faces of the characters in these anime and see the smiles they have on their face. And then take a second to think of the mangaka or authors behind these series and behind those faces. They had to have so much passion for whatever activity or whatever it's based around that they were willing to base their entire livelihood around it and put their everything into showing it to as many people as they can reach. And I genuinely cannot think of a better pitch for why you should be willing to give something a shot than that. The most recent version of this, to me, was reading Destroy All Humankind, They Cannot Be Regenerated, a fantastic manga that I will be making a whole video about eventually. But for now, the short of it is that it's a manga about playing Magic the Gathering in the 90s and going to tournaments. After reading this, I got a little into Magic, but more importantly, it reignited a longtime love of mine and another thing I will 100% be making a video about in Yu-Gi-Oh! I don't know if you can tell, but I'm a little into Yu-Gi-Oh! And I've been playing it since it very first came to America. And while a lot of those years since then I've been away from the game, I always end up coming back in some way or another, but had never played in any tournaments, even like small ones. But after reading this manga, I thought it sounded like fun, and that maybe I'd give it a try. So, as soon as Yu-Gi-Oh! Events picked up again earlier this year, I hit up my one friend who plays Yu-Gi-Oh! Who got in contact with some of the people he plays with, and we got a group together for the event. Had a great time, and since then I've hit a few smaller ones too. I'd never been to any like real conventions before. I'd gone to like tattoo conventions and like lifting meets and stuff like that, but this was a completely different atmosphere and something very outside of the stuff I would normally get into. But I had a lot of fun. And I promise you this isn't just me, right? Me and a couple of other friends got into beach volleyball after watching Harukana receive. I know other people who got into lifting after watching Dumbbells. And I've even got a buddy who started a garden in his backyard after watching Silver Spoon. I touched on it a little bit earlier, but the main reason I decided now was as good a time as any to make this video is because of the do-it-yourself anime that is airing this season. I honestly thought this show was going to be kind of shit. I don't know where I got that impression from, but I definitely didn't expect anything really, but was still fully intended to make this video. The show is nothing world-changing, obviously, but it's tons of fun seeing the girls mess around and learn about DIY and grow their relationships and talk in native English.
I did it, Mom! Good job.
So even if you're not looking for a new hobby to add to your collection, it is 100% worth a watch just for the contents of the show itself. Because I was completely blown away with how good this show is compared to my very mid expectations. And even if I had high expectations, I probably still would have been surprised because this show is damn good. And this show just makes like the perfect analogy for all this because like, why would someone make a show about DIY, right? Like, there's no real story there. Like, yeah, it's like a club-based anime, but it's a DIY club. Like, you're not really getting into anything groundbreaking in any way, and it's not the concept that you can go a million places with. But it's very clear that the person who made this show just really likes DIY and doing stuff like that and decorating and building stuff and wanted to share it with people. So he made this show. And that is just fucking sick. I fucking love that shit. Stuff like that is what I love about anime. When people just are putting their passion into things. There are so many shows that you can look at that are just infinitely better than they would have been if someone who didn't have just boiling passion for them had been in charge of the show. And you can tell every single time when a show is made by some corporate entity or is just thrown together or trying to check boxes compared to when someone really, really cared about what they were doing and put their heart and soul into making it everything they wanted it to be. But yeah, I didn't really intend for this video to be too serious or deep or anything like that. It's just something I wanted to talk about for forever now. And I've always thought it was a cool, underappreciated aspect of what anime can be. So I recommend giving it a watch. You won't regret it. And even if this one isn't the show that gives you that spark or whatever and gets you out of your comfort zone and into something new, hopefully this video will at least keep your eye open for it. And next time you have a show with something that looks like fun, you'll let your ADD side take over and give it a shot. I can full-heartedly assure you that even if it doesn't end up being something that hooks you for life, that it'll at least be something that you don't regret giving a shot. Or maybe you have a hobby or activity or something that you're already into or really want to pursue, but just can't find the motivation to keep going. Well, maybe find an anime about it and give it a watch and see if it invigorates you to keep going at it. getting started and into a rhythm with something is always the hardest part. And once you get over that hurdle, it becomes so much easier. And it's like that for everything. So finding something that can give you that extra push can really be helpful. Also, I'll be throwing a little list of anime and the stuff they have that kind of fits into the description of what I've been talking about in this video down below. So if you ever want to check back or need some motivation for something, then it'll be down there and I'll be updating it every now and then. But that's all I got for today. If you guys have anything like this that you ended up picking up because of watching an anime, then make sure to let me know down below. I'd love to read some of them. And don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss any of the upcoming videos that I've got in the works, including a very similar idea to this one, but more about the Japanese government trying to brainwash people with anime, which I think will be a fun video. But for now, have a good one. Peace.